Days had passed since that night in the kitchen, but I couldn't shake the memory of him from my mind. The way his gaze lingered, the manner in which his presence seemed to alter the air around me. Every time I entered the kitchen, I almost expected to see him there again, watching me with that silent intensity. And then one night there he was. The kitchen was eerily silent, just as the last light flickered. A presence filled the doorway. He stood there, unfamiliar yet magnetic, his intense gaze making the air around him feel charged. He shouldn't have been there, but he was. I froze, my heart racing as I tried to comprehend the situation. He didn't say anything at first, just stood there, staring. The silence stretched, thick with anticipation. I swallowed hard, trying to calm the knot tightening in my stomach. "I didn't mean to startle you." His voice finally broke the silence. It was soft, almost too calm for someone who had just appeared out of nowhere. He looked casual, but his presence was anything but. I felt like he was waiting for something I couldn't identify. I managed to force a shaky smile. "It's okay, I didn't hear you come in," I said, though my pulse was still racing. I tried to act as if this were normal, but everything inside me screamed that it wasn't. Something about him wasn't right. He didn't respond immediately, just raised an eyebrow as if evaluating each of my movements. His eyes never left mine. It was as if he could see something I couldn't, or maybe something I wasn't ready to acknowledge. I shifted uncomfortably, trying to ease the growing tension, but it felt like the room had closed in, making it hard to breathe. Finally, I blurted out, "Do you want something to eat?" The words felt foreign as they left my mouth. Why was I offering him food? But he nodded without hesitation, almost too eagerly. "Sure, why not?" he said with a smirk, and for a moment, I wondered if I had made a mistake by inviting him further into my space. As I prepared something quick in the kitchen, I could feel his gaze on me, even as I tried to focus on what I was doing. The tension in the air was palpable, as if there were unspoken words hanging between us. He hadn't moved from his spot by the door, but I could feel him in the room with me, filling it completely. Every now and then, I would glance at him and find him watching me intently, as if he were studying me, as if he could read something in my eyes that even I wasn't aware of. I tried to shake off that thought, concentrating on chopping the vegetables, but my mind kept returning to him. What was he doing here? Why had he appeared without warning? It wasn't common for people to show up out of the blue like this, yet here he was, acting as if it were the most normal thing in the world. His presence was magnetic, almost as if he were drawing me in despite my best efforts to keep my distance. Every time I thought I had the situation under control, a new layer of mystery unfolded. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was waiting for something, maybe even testing me. Finally, I broke the silence, trying to sound casual. "Do you often appear like this out of nowhere?" I couldn't keep the curiosity out of my voice, even though I tried to hide it. He let out a soft laugh, the sound warm yet mysterious. "Only when the moment feels right," he said with such ease, as if this were just another piece of the puzzle. His words made no sense, but the way he said them made me feel like there was something deeper lurking just beneath the surface. The atmosphere shifted as I turned to grab a plate and saw a flicker of him now standing just a few feet away. The change in his presence was subtle but unmistakable. I could feel the air thicken, the tension building once more. He was no longer just an observer. It was as if he were staking a claim, entering my space. How could I know that? My pulse quickened, my mind racing to understand the strange feeling creeping up my spine. I forced a laugh, trying to dispel the discomfort that was starting to take root within me. Just making dinner," I said, trying to keep my tone light, but my voice trembled slightly. I didn't understand why I was so nervous. It wasn't like I had anything to hide, or so I told myself. His gaze didn't waver. His eyes locked onto mine with an intensity that made me feel exposed, as if he were stripping away layers I wasn't ready to reveal. There was something more. A chill ran down my spine, and I instinctively took a step back, putting more space between us. I didn't understand what he meant, but something deep within me told me I wasn't ready to find out. But he wasn't going to let it go. He took a step closer, his presence now filling the entire room. I could feel my heart racing, and despite my best efforts, I couldn't help but ask, "What do you mean?" My voice was barely a whisper, just loud enough to break the silence that had fallen between us. Then he smiled, a smile that didn't reach his eyes, and said, You'll see soon enough when the time is right." The words hung in the air, and for a moment, everything seemed suspended. Something was happening, something I didn't yet understand, and it was both exhilarating and terrifying as I looked at him. I realized that sometimes the most unexpected encounters can change our lives in ways we never imagined. And maybe, just maybe, those are the moments worth exploring even if they scare us. If you've ever felt a connection that defied all logic, if you've ever questioned the boundaries of trust and loyalty, then you know how complicated and beautiful life can be. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you like this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. And let me know in the comments if you've ever experienced something similar. Until next time, take care.